Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Oprah, and number one talk in the IE. Thank you very much. Every weekday morning at 8 a.m., live drive time back to my old spot. Very happy about that. And live, actually, that one's not live, but this one is live every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time on my YouTube TV channel. So give me the finger, free subscribe. And then it also goes out to iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon, T-Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker, and I believe now Roku as well. So you can get this show about hope and happiness anytime you want. And you will not catch us talking about the headlines 99% of the time when I accidentally don't pay attention to my co-hosts, what they're saying. Not you necessarily, James, but I do have other ones on Wednesdays that sometimes slip in something because she thinks I need to know. But I know that all headlines right now are going to give you the case of the 4 A's: angry, aggravated, afraid, and anxious. And I don't want you that way. I want you big A, amazing. So I have topics and guests and series to that end. You can tell it's Friday because we do have fitness expert. He was trying to give me a sweat by being just on time this morning. I'm allergic to sweating. I glisten. But anyways, thank you for that finger. It is I met him years ago when he was co-founder of a Flicks for Change film festival that was focused on change. And then we met again across the restaurant on Hollywood Boulevard. And so next thing you know, he's my co-host on on Friday, Straight Talk with myself and
James Hawthorn. Good morning, everyone.
Welcome back, James.
Thank you.
And before we get to the topic of the day, we're going to have breakfast as usual. Sorry, no Uber Eats. However, we will take a bite of my gratitude sandwich. Top of the bun, we're going to look around. What are you grateful for? This is also the time when I catch up with my co-hosts to find out what's been going on that's cool and they're grateful for. And then bottom of the bun, what we want you to do tonight before I go to bed, which is looking inwards and saying, what do I like about myself to replace all of the I should have done this, I shouldn't have said this, and all those shooting on yourself that I don't want you to do. I want you to look at what is good about you so you'll have an easier time falling asleep too. James, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful that I have a terrific chiropractor 3-minute walk down the street from my place because a little over a month ago, I was swimming in the ocean. It was a beautiful day. I was coming into shore, very flat, calm. So I was doing backstroke because I had been doing freestyle for, like a mile. And I figured, I know when I'll get close to shore, I'll feel the waves kind of start to lift me up and, then I'll clock where I am and flip over. Well, it was so calm that I didn't know I'd swum almost all the way back to shore. A wave broke right on top of me, flipped me over, and I went nose first into the sand.
Ouch.
It was healing up nicely. But then I was playing with my dog and he reopened it. But I gave myself whiplash according to the x-rays and really messed up my neck good. He said that where the whiplash was, all the way at the base of the skull, is really hard to do because all the ligaments that literally keep your head screwed on are super thick. And for me to get whiplash there, he said, you probably couldn't have hit your head any harder and come out of it okay. So
Wow.
I'm grateful for that. And
Yeah.
cautionary tale, even on the calmest day, never turn your back on the ocean. The element of surprise did me in. Low tide, so the waves were breaking in shallow water and put me nose first in there. But he's going to get me right. He's got me right before, and I'm grateful that he's right down the street from me.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear there's a solution there and a quick healing, because this is part of your work.
Oh, absolutely. More than that, I'm grateful I, didn't end up with spinal paralysis of
Oh,
some
yeah,
kind.
for sure, for sure. I am grateful that the second shot, speaking of body ailments, the second shot on my shoulder seems to be doing much better than the first time. The MRI came back. The reason why I've been in so much pain is my tendon is hanging on by a thread on my rotator cuff. So, good news is, even though I have a history of funny things in the joints, because I've had 2 hip replacements, because hips don't lie, shoulder surgery is not necessarily the next step right now. So I got the second shot and it's working. So I'm grateful for that.
Excellent.
What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful that the forecast shows that I'm going to be getting out of New York before a foot of snow comes in. I'm on my way to Portugal tomorrow, and there's a connection in New York, and there is supposed to be a foot of snow, but it starts at midnight, and I'm flying out at 8 p.m. Fingers crossed that forecast holds and the winds don't pick up, but grateful that the forecast is what it is, and then I'm going to be getting out of Dodge, or New York City, as it were, before I get stuck. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful for a favorable forecast.
Yes, even though I hate to tell you this, forecasts are actually nowcast. I have yet to meet a forecast that was correct. But for your sake, I hope this one is.
Why, thank you.
Let's what else? I'm grateful that I got to know a man who's on the other side now. He had passed suddenly. His name's Mike Roberts, and the service is tomorrow, and I just want a breath of peace and comfort to all who miss him, and there are a lot of us who miss him, and kind of what caught moment, what are the chances of that? He was always the one who wanted to make sure that my Super Bowl squares were covered and made sure everybody had gotten a square, and last year he won, and so I'm really glad that he did. This is definitely the time where I'm missing him the most, because he would it was a constant contact there, but yeah, he all of us have an expiry date. We don't know when it is. And he was a great example of happy, joyous, and free. So,
oh, well, I wish him and his family and his friends and loved ones all the peace and joy in remembering him fondly.
Thank you. All right, let's go to the bottom of the bun, which is, because I like it on the bottom. It's Friday, and it is weightlifting for your the foundation of your mental health. I believe my belief system is that it is self-love, self-soothing, self-esteem, self-worth. And you're not going to get that by shitting on yourself. You will get that by remembering what you like about yourself. So that's why we do the bottom of the bun. So, James, what do you like about yourself?
I like that I am fair and forgiving, and this is a story worth telling. This morning, I couldn't find my keys, and I'm like, what did I do? And so I grabbed my spare key for the car without the house keys, and I figured I would just text my roommate, hey, don't lock the door, I'll be back in an hour. I had a client session. Well, I get down to the garage, and my car is gone. Now, in July of 2021, my car was stolen from inside my garage.
Oh, no.
So I immediately was freaking out. And I'm like, I went and got some takeout last night. And I'm like, did I leave the keys in the door when I let the dog out? Or did one of us just leave the door open and someone came in while we were sleeping and grabbed the keys and take the car? So I go to call my roommate, Matt, and I say, leave the door unlocked. I got to call the police. I don't know. And he's like, actually, I took the car. And I'm like, what? Do you realize that you just cost me a client session, number one? So that's terrible. And two, why didn't you ask me? And
Yeah.
he's like, well, you were asleep and I didn't want to wake you up. And I'm like, well,
Leave a note.
yeah, or while you were being so polite, why didn't you go and just put your drunk and horny backside into an Uber to your late night booty call that you went to? My roommate is young. I didn't yell at him. I didn't hit him. I very easily could have had the police over here for a different reason. I was so mad, but I just leveled him with he comes walking in the hall. He says, "I'll be back in 15 minutes." And I said, "Start talking." And I just leveled like what's the deal? And it's exactly what I suspected it was. So I just leveled him with a good amount of guilt and shame and left it at that. But I think that was very fair and kind. He's a great guy. He's built up a lot of good credit over the years. This was very out of character for him. So I said, we got to work on our trust here a little bit, but I forgive you. And you're not using the car while I'm gone. I'm going to tell you that, though. I usually let him use it. That privilege is gone for at least the next 2 weeks. So I don't want to be worried about him making
bad choices.
Drunk and horny choices that a 24-year-old boy, I would call him a man, but after last night, he's been downgraded to boy, will make. So he's not using the car while I'm gone.
Maybe a little more forgiveness is gonna happen.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it is the exact right proportion of fairness and forgiveness, given what I went through this morning.
All right. I appreciate my ability to recognize habits of mine that don't necessarily work for me. So I had a great date and I was all excited about the second date. And the second date was good, but my old pattern of trying to find something's wrong was kicking in. So I recognized it and I was good about not thinking or trying not to 88% of the time looking for things. And so instead, when I talked to my best friend, my best girlfriend, I told on myself and then as I was talking to her, highlighted all the good things. So I think that is a good habit for me because when you're very high achievement oriented and a recovering perfectionist, I think it is part of our habits to be critical thinkers, right? And you tend to notice things that aren't good or aren't useful versus being, and I think relationships, and we'll get into this later, have a tendency of, everything's great. And then one yarn gets, and then you go down that spiral. So I appreciate my ability to change my patterns that aren't working for me.
I love that. This is a two-parter. I like that I can bring a lot of different friends from my life together and we can all have a great time together and that we can express appreciation and love for one another. Because I work non-traditional job and so do many of my friends, meaning, not scheduled 9 to 5. We were able to have a fun Malibu beach day and I got friends from all different parts of my life together. And then when we were having some really delicious happy hour eats at the Sunset Restaurant, we were just expressing like appreciation and love for one another. And it was really kind. It was really sweet. And I think we all felt the warm and fuzzies and that, friends were making new friends, if you will. Sometimes you're friends by acquaintance, if you will, or friend of a friend. And no, I really felt the love between everybody in that friend group. And I just like that I'm able to help create that kind of environment and get together because it's very fulfilling and gratifying for me. And it seems like it was for all of them too. And just a very special day.
Yeah. My last one's going to be a part commercial as well. I'm doing Asian Oprah giveaway tickets today again to Don McLean. Bye bye, Miss American Pie. Yes, my show sponsor, the Saban, or Where Music Meets the Soul. Dana's been a long time show sponsor and gives me great tickets. So if you would like a pair of free tickets to Don McLean. I saw him in concert a couple years back. He's a character, and so if you want to be fully entertained, this is this Saturday. So just go to drmarissa.life, put your email in. I'll know what you're looking for, and yeah. So your friends as well. I'm saying this for you because
Thank
you
you.
are so kind with your Dodger tickets. By the way, go Rams!
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Wouldn't that be great? Another Los Angeles win would be
Unbelievable.
amazing. Oh my God. Did you see that last tying Rams touchdown? No, I mean Chicago Bears touchdown. That was like
Yes. And then what went down in overtime, it was thrilling.
crazy. It was like one of the best football games I've ever watched.
Oh,
So
absolutely. They were fighting tooth and nail, and the Bears are known as the comeback kids. They came back from being down in the fourth quarter more times in a season than a lot of teams might do in a decade this
yeah.
year.
Yeah, that was just thrilling. I love I don't know if you an aside where breakfast is going long today, but just reminded me that was my dating strategy. I was not into baseball until you and my bonus dad and mom but football I've always been into, and I would go and get my dates for the week by going Sunday to the sports bar, and I would talk and say, "Oh, you know, um, second and 5, they should probably run it." I'm not, but anyways, whatever I would say would be something that normally, unless you're into football, you wouldn't understand what that is. And so I sound like a girl. I am a girl, and the guys would go, "Who said that?" Right? And they'd see me, and yeah, that's how I would get my dates. So
Great thing about that is you immediately know you both have something in common. So
exactly.
that's great.
Exactly. So, all right. Yeah, that's going to be my third date with the guy is to watch the playoff game because he was a offensive tackle
Oh,
at Berkeley. Yeah, 6'5".
wow. That's a hunk of a man right there.
And we're getting ahead of ourselves on the topic, but thank you for joining us for breakfast. I hope that you join me every weekday morning for this good life habit #Blisscipline, because I promise you, if you do this every day, you'll sandwich your day in the most positive way. Thanks for joining us for breakfast. And now for the topic of the day.
We are talking about all kinds of love, not just the romantic kind, but all kinds of love, and some of the examples that like warm our hearts when we think of it, whether it's something that we've experienced or that we know that friends or family have experienced, or even reaching in to art and literature for examples that really move us and that remind us of the best versions of ourselves, that shine a light on the most beautiful parts of the human condition.
Where do I begin to tell the story of I think I'm off key. Sorry. But I did say in the promo I might try that. And it's funny that you and Dr. Tiffany, she's doing a countdown to Valentine's with related topics. And I didn't realize that you got the memo too that I didn't send. But it's kind of great to focus on that to get us in the mood, even if it's sad day for you, Single Awareness Day, where if I make it to the fourth date, I may actually have a Valentine's date for a change this year. It hasn't happened in 10 years, I think. But yeah, love stories is the topic. And as usual, why did you pick this topic, James?
So last night I flipped on a movie. I just needed some like mental decompression time and the last James Bond movie, No Time to Die, was on. Now, when you think James Bond, you don't think like weepy love story. But since the movie came out in 2021, I don't feel bad about giving any spoiler or plot alerts away because it's been out for 5 years. So if you haven't seen it, shame. But at the end of the movie, I was just weeping. I was sobbing because
Oh.
James Bond actually dies in this one, but
Oh.
he did it to quite literally save the world from this awful bioweapon virus. And he had to make sure that the protective bunker on this island was disabled. And there was no time for him to get off the island. And the evil henchman made it such that he was now infected with this virus. And while it wouldn't kill him, the curse was that anytime he touched somebody, they would get it and die. So he finally found love, realized he had a daughter, and had to get them off the island and let them go, and had to speak to them one last time, and have that really special moment. And just watching Daniel Craig as the actor, there are a couple things: the selflessness, the heroism, and then the tragedy of realizing he would never be able to physically love, this woman. And if you know anything about the story of James Bond, he's a lover, but he's never had like real lasting love because of his lifestyle. It's way too chaotic, risky, hectic. The one time he was married, his wife was killed just a few hours after the ceremony in the whole chronology of the series. So to see Daniel Craig face his fate with humility, heroism, tenderness, love, and then sacrificing himself to make sure that this bioweapon didn't ever leave this island and get out. It was the ultimate act of selflessness. And you put all of those pieces together. You see the sadness in his girlfriend's eyes, who he's had this daughter with that he just found out about. I was just sobbing. And
Oh.
I mean, I might be biased because I'm a big James Bond fan, and you always think of this guy as he's never gonna, he's unkillable. He's never gonna die. He's gotten out of the stickiest of situations. But then you see him realize that time's up, and that's it. And so
Yeah.
just, it hit me in so many different ways. The idea of losing someone that you love, him, his wife and daughter, them, vice versa, all of his people at MI6 that, he's a living legend, and they realize he's doing this selfless, heroic act. And you see them just speechless and floored that he's doing this. And, dealing with loss of a character that you love, because when you've seen every movie, you feel like you know them, and then you have a sense for them. And then sometimes it's hard to process when somebody is about to leave this earth, and then it's hard to accept when they've finally gone. So you put all those pieces together, and it just had me sobbing.
It's beautiful, but I chuckle because this is not even real. It's a movie and it's a character. I just love how sensitive you are. It's fabulous because sensitivity is 100% correlated with creativity. So say that as a judgment at all, but that's beautiful. And tears are the disinfectant that keep our hearts soft. So I like that you cry. And it's speaking of James Bond, I just
Hey,
wanted to it was not the same James Bond that you just spoke of, but I thought I'd flash up my flashing piece with Pierce Brosnan.
there you
So
go. Well, I want to build on that point though about, it's a movie, it's fake. Well, we know that intellectually, but it is such a gift to have artists and storytellers that can convey stories that draw us in and hit us so deeply. It's a talent, it's a gift to be able to reach into someone's life in that way. And there's so much we can learn from, art and literature and film that can move us and teach us lessons about who we are and what we're capable of. And so, I don't
that
want
is
to,
definitely true.
yeah.
Fiction is evidence of someone's creativity, that they can write something and produce something that is so heartstring grabbing. That's a definite art or skill.
Yes.
Yeah. And as an actor, James is the actor. Even though I've been asked why I'm not an actress, but anyways, another story. It is truly, but I'll have to say my favorites are movies that are based on real, facts. Like, I mean, someone's life. And
Mhm.
Song Sung Blue, if you haven't seen that, is an excellent movie based on a real story. So anyways, okay, so love stories on the coast. Not the radio station, not that one. But if you have stories, you can put them in the chat. And that's our topic for today. So James gave the long foundation for why he picked the topic. And it can be a story from your life or your friends or your own, and or from the movies. So we love it when you play with us for whatever the topic is. I'll insert a friend of mine who just told me that her love story, I met her husband by accident at a restaurant. What are the chances of that? And she told me she has been married 5 times to the same man.
Wow.
And I said that. And then I said, how old were you? Thinking, young, and then they divorced. And then she goes, no, I met him when I was 42 or something like that. And they got married in the Catholic Church. They got married in the another denomination church. They got married with Elvis in Vegas. They got married on a beach abroad in the Caribbean, and then they got married in the courthouse in reverse order. So I was like, well, that's a beautiful love story. And she goes, he ain't going anywhere. So,
it's a very expensive one too. Weddings aren't cheap, except for maybe the courthouse and Elvis one. Those are probably pretty affordable.
Yeah, well, relatively so. Yeah, for sure. Mine was 27,000. So being that I'm happily divorced, was it worth it? The pictures were so good that this guy that used to work in my blood clot the first time doctor's office, Dr. Jettelson's office in Beverly Hills, John was my, nurse that escorts you in, the staff that
right.
He loved that wedding picture so much he bought a print, and it's hanging above. And I told him, I said, we're divorced. He goes, it's just such a beautiful picture. So my husband and I are art pieces.
Now that's a beautiful thing. Like a reason I picked this topic is I think that we all need reminders of love, whether it's a visual representation, a memory, a story that we tell about somebody. I think it can just really change your mood, much like the, gratitude sandwich that we do for breakfast. And, who couldn't use a little mood lift these days? So I just think it's, and I think it's timeless. I'm going to give another example that it really kind of blew my mind from, I guess, it depends on your belief system, but you could call it literature, you could call it whatever you want. But one of the oldest love story of all time might be, that of Jesus in the Bible, right? I mean, he gets crucified so that we can be forgiven and cleansed of our sins, sent there by his Father to do it. I mean,
religion. I'm going to have to. We don't do religion here.
Now,
religion and politics. And
that's fair, but keep in mind, I'm going to go out. I'm going to live out loud and just say it's so different than what you believe to be true or not about the origin of it or whatever. I don't mean it in any offensive way, but it's just a story that's 2,000 years old or older, and it's just remarkable to me that you can look at that much history and see some like themes that carry through, because humans are humans. That's all I'll say about that.
Okay. My bonus dad and mom were married for 74 years. And that's a love story. And the sad part of the love story is this is the first year that she wasn't here for the anniversary of the 75th, it would have been. And that is, but we didn't think dad would last because of that relationship, beyond, and he's almost made a year without her. So that is kind of, a bittersweet love story. And I love him so much. He's 96 now. And
Wow.
yeah, we got sober on the same day, January 25th. So he's gonna be sober for 54 years, and I will be 17 on Sunday. So
Wow, that's phenomenal.
yeah, so I love him so much, and so shout out, Papa.
Who knows how much, more time, he gave himself by making that decision, of good and healthy years. In a way, it's almost it's a selfless thing to do when you realize, the people's lives you affect with your own choices. And something that I think about a lot about love, non-romantic love, well, both romantic and non-romantic love, is this theme of sacrifice. I think back to, speaking of parents, when I was a kid and was a competitive distance runner, and both my mom and dad would rearrange their work schedules to be able to take me to
Mm.
these meets all over the country. And it couldn't have been easy for them. It wasn't cheap to fly and drive to these places and get hotels and do it. But they really wanted me to have that experience. They did whatever it took for me to have that experience. And that really warms my heart because, they went above and beyond.
Yeah,
And I am incredibly grateful for that. And I think about this idea of like selfless sacrifice, but
it's
I
a
think
form of love.
totally, but
Yeah,
when your heart is in the right place, sometimes sacrifice, it's almost like it's the wrong word because it fuels you. It fuels your own soul to be able to give. And sometimes you what's the word I'm looking for? You might not be getting or going after everything you want, but because you love that other person so much, you're willing to deny yourself certain things because what ultimately is more satisfying and gratifying is to make that sacrifice for them or perform those actions for them. And I think that's a really deep kind of love that you can find in both romantic and non-romantic love.
as long as there's a balance, because if you go past that balance to sacrifice all the time, it becomes codependence. And I'm a
Oh, absolutely.
huge, you know, don't the oxygen mask, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, but I totally get, and I think it's good that you are emphasizing the upside of unselfishness, right?
Yeah.
To balance out what the where that is. And it is time to take a break for news, weather, traffic, and a word from our sponsors. And so don't go away. We'll be right back in 2 and 2. If you've just tuned in, it is Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind, and my live on my YouTube TV channel for our special series on Fridays called Straight Talk with myself. And
James Hawthorn.
we'll be right back. Don't go away.
Welcome to Balanced Tai Chi Gong. My name is Dr. Marissa Pei. For the next 28 minutes, we will be slow dancing with the universe in a moving meditation that promotes inner peace, one breath at a time. Just follow the sound of my voice and move with me as I guide you through this ancient wisdom through New Thought practice. As a corporate psychologist, I created this practice in response to my life and those of my clients. We were professional, high achievement-oriented, multitasking control freaks and exhausted. No matter how many successes, it was never enough. That, coupled with a painful life experience, led me on a quest to find another way to live and back to my Chinese roots. If you practice regularly, I can promise you that it will impact all health vortexes. Body, mind, spirit, soul. You will be in a place of balance and inner peace the way we were created. 谢谢.
Be my partner, dance with me. just hold on. I will.
Hi, everyone. I had the privilege of working with an incredible company teaching a nutrition seminar last week about the 7 pillars of nutritional excellence. And the whole purpose of that is to reprogram your metabolism to be a raging hot fire. And if you practice these 7 pillars, it keeps you from needing to adopt more extreme diet trends or fads, such as keto or intermittent fasting. And to a large degree, they perform some of the same functions as some of the pills that we're taking these days, like Wegovy, Ozempic. You can completely reprogram your metabolism to work in your favor, not against you, regardless of genetics. And if that is something that you're interested in learning about, please direct message me on Instagram at ActionManFitness, and I will share that content with you. Just say you came from Dr. Marissa, and let's be the healthiest versions of ourselves.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuning in to Take My Advice.
I think you're muted.
Oh, no, I'm not.
You're not. Well, that's strange.
Yeah, it says that I'm not. Muted. Now I'm not. Now I'm not. Am I still muted?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Oh, let's see. No one's in.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to jump off and jump back on, if that's okay, because I can't seem to fix it by mic on, mic off.
Well, stay there if it's my
and I'll
mic.
come right back on.
Okay.
In 2 and 2.
All right. I'm hoping that y'all can hear me. I am. So we're back with Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course my YouTube TV channel, where if you free subscribe and give me the finger, this one, not the other one, you will get an alert every weekday morning to tune in to the show about hope and happiness. And it is Friday, so you can tell by who's in the studio with me. It's time for Straight Talk with myself and
James Hawthorn. Microphone difficulties resolved.
Awesome. Yeah, I was wondering if you could. I didn't know whose it was. That was like, I'm gonna go out and come right back. But you go. I'm okay. I hope it's.
I'll tell you after the show. But there were a couple glitches kind of going on when you cut to something else, and for some reason, I think it's being the platform's being a little glitchy today, and seemingly on my end. But we'll cover that at the end.
Yeah. No worries. It's 88% fabulous technology. When it works, it's amazing, and when it doesn't, it's a opportunity to practice the P word, which I don't have, which is called patience. So, topic for today is love, love, love.
That's right. I wanted to build on the idea of, the beauty and like a selfless sacrifice, but like you said, making sure that you're always putting your own oxygen mask on first. Otherwise, it's like the goose and the golden egg, and the farmer ends up, the parable is that the farmer ends up, killing the goose because he's like, I need more eggs, and then no more golden eggs, right? And in a way, you're almost starving yourself if you're not putting your own oxygen mask on first. Are you still? Can I hear you? Okay,
I'm
good.
Here, and I just tried the speed test. So on my end, it's fine. It's a 294 upload. So it only requires a 30 upload. So I think
we should be good.
So I think maybe on your end, as you
I'm going to have a little faith that it's going to work out all right. So to segue on that, I've been reflecting a lot. Another reason I chose the topic was the difference between loving someone and being in love. And I don't know that I've come to many conclusions on it, but one that I did come to is sometimes, I think we consider being in love to have those warm and fuzzies and the butterflies, and being in love is very much the feelings and the actions that two people must perform towards one another to build that love. But loving someone, sometimes you're not able to honor all of your feelings if, say, the timing isn't right with a partner. Sometimes you can't have the whole kit and caboodle, have your cake and eat it too. And I was thinking about friends, that I have, and I love them undoubtedly, would walk to the ends of the earth for them as long as I'm coming from a full place with it. Some of them are, people that I hope to have a romantic relationship with. But I have a tendency to sometimes hit on straight guys hoping that they're gay and they're not. But I've got a good radar for quality of character, because so many of them have become my friends and I love them. But the in love goes away, and that's like, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, well, can't have that with those individuals, and that's okay. And sometimes, I've met people that are kind of fluid, but given what their circumstances are in life, it would actually feel like I would be loving them less if I'd let the feelings of in love win out. So it goes back to something I was saying earlier about like the hierarchy of happiness. There's that instant gratification and satisfying, the things that the butterflies and the warm and fuzzies make you want to do. But sometimes what's best, not just for the other person, but for you, if you want to create a real loving relationship, is to, sacrifice a couple of those desires and wishes. Sometimes being in love involves some lust, but sometimes lust can interfere with our ability to love deeply and healthfully another person. And I was just reflecting on that in terms of my relationships with friends over the years, and that's where I'm at with it. But I'd like to get your take on that.
It's interesting that you're bringing all that up right now, because I haven't had this feeling in years where it is yummy. I'll call it the yummy, right? And the first date was fabulous, and then like he's very no games at all. He just says what he is feeling, and I love that, and I'm the same way. So and I have not try to be anybody different, as I've been coached to do, so I don't intimidate people. He's a lawyer, he's a successful lawyer. I've always had a soft spot for lawyers, and the first was like amazing, and the second, and so like I've been having this feeling. We had the second date yesterday, and as I mentioned earlier, I was falling into that. Oh, I didn't know about that, or I didn't know about that, and I don't know if that's gonna, get in the way. Blah blah blah, and that's the part you're talking about. It's a choice. I mean, at some point, love is a choice, right? Perfect, right? I'm always screwed because that love is patient and kind and right. I don't have the P word, and kindness is like sometimes a little less than 88% depending on the situation. So can I, and I thought, you know what? I really I'm going to focus on, and it's funny because I do this in relationship coaching. I ask my clients to hold hands and well, first I say, when was the last time you had sex? Right? Because I believe it is a glue. I believe, like you, it is important. How important is it? I think it's a sign, if you're not intimate, that you're not as connected.
In a romantic relationship, in a romantic loving relationship,
Yes, that's what
I
I'm
feel like
talking
sex
about.
is an integral, inescapably integral part of what's required for that relationship to thrive and last.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. So that, like, to hold hands and talk about, this is what the exercise is, not to necessarily jump back into bed quickly, but it's that is only an assessment for me of how well that relationship is going. So it's one of my top 3 questions. And then the exercise is hold hands for 30 days, first thing in the morning, look into each other's eyes, and even if you have to remember back, right? Even if it's not present now, what was it that you so loved about that person? So in my case, instead of focusing on the things that I think are predictors that it isn't going to work long term, I'm going to text him after this and say, love the way you just leaned over during dinner and just kissed my neck. Like that was like I wanted someone to do that. And it's like, how could I not remember that instead of looking, I have a choice. And my work is to focus on what is good in a relationship instead of focusing on what my habit is why it's not going to work.
Yeah, and I think that's a great litmus test for people in romantic relationships, undoubtedly. And I think an important question that we have to ask ourselves is what kind of love do we want in our life, and how do we make it deeper and more enriching? And that's a balancing act, to balance desires of the moment with the things that are ultimately going to gratify and satisfy you the most over time. And it's kind of seeing the forest through the trees to know that, sometimes the moment, as much as you might want something in the moment, is not as important, nor will it be as fulfilling as the kind of loving relationship you want to create. I love the hand holding thing, by the way. It is such a non-sexually intimate thing to hold someone's hands. I mean, we talk with our hands, we express with our hands, we massage, feel, Reiki, non-touch heal with our hands. And to connect with somebody in that way is so powerful. And I mean, in other countries, I know that sometimes, men, not in a sexual way, that are friends, walk down the street holding hands.
Yeah,
So
women too in Taiwan. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's such a beautiful thing. Not to be negative about the way things are here, but I think we have a lot of things backwards in this country and are so uptight about things, and we overly sexualize things that are simply expressions of platonic intimacy and affection. Intimacy and affection does not have to include sex, although sex should include intimacy and affection. That's what I'm going to say about that. But I think our definitions, the boxes that we put things into in this country, have us all messed up about love, how to love, best. And that's why I wanted to open it up to love of all forms, not just romantic, because there's so much beauty and fulfillment that we can derive from building those loving relationships that could be completely non-sexual.
Yeah. I heard someone say this a month ago, and I love it. You can love and follow the desire to love platonically, intimately, whichever kind of it is, but it doesn't mean you have to like them, because my big brother Michael Bernard Beckwith is always drop the resentments, drop the pet peeves, drop your love, that's who you are. And I agree that we all come from love, we all go to love, and it is not helpful when I'm harboring hate or anger or resentment. However, there just are some people that it's just too difficult to to love. I mean, it's just too difficult. And so I've struggled with that. But the person said to me, you can love everyone, but there's nowhere where it says you have to like everyone.
Right.
So I wanted to, I'm glad I remembered to say that when you told me what the topic was, because I think that we're not saints. We're not Mother Teresa. We have personalities. We have edges that I'm also telling you to love yourself, right? You're 88% fabulous, and 12% of the time, we step in it. We're not perfect. So where instead of feeling the poke of someone's edge, why don't we adjust our shape and turn ourselves so that that poke is going to fit with our poker? No, well, it does sound terrible. Oh my God.
I
I
know what
just
you mean. You
realized
know,
what I said. Oh
you don't
boy.
have to work to create, because love is also a lot of work. It takes a lot of awareness, of giving, of heart, of sensitivity, of empathy. You can't do that with everybody. And here's the good news: you get to pick who you want your friends to be that you love. Some of your family, you might love them because they're blood, but some family you can choose to love from a distance, because
Mhm.
that's putting your own oxygen mask on first, you know? So, you get to choose that, which I think is really nice. And sometimes, because we're such intelligent beings, we overcomplicate love and how we process it. You
I don't know
know,
if that's intelligence, James. I call it MSU University, that we go, we're so creative. We go to Making Shiitake Up University, and someone will look at you funny, and all of a sudden there's a huge, mini series of why they're looking at. And frankly, they just ate some beans and have some gas. It's got nothing to do with you. But
right?
here I've made up all of this stuff. So I wouldn't say necessarily it's intelligence.
We're complicated. How about that?
Complicated.
Because we've
That's
got a wounded
perfect.
inner child. We've got this burden of a prefrontal cortex that can create false narratives faster than, it can create 10 in under 10 seconds. And, if you think about, I mean, we can't devolve into dogs, but dogs always love their owners unconditionally, pretty
Yeah.
much no matter what. And I think I'm going to bring it back. You could almost call this getting towards a final thought, but I always loved the movie Forrest Gump. So he's not a dog. He's just a man with a slightly lower IQ. But his love is so simple and pure throughout the movie. When he sees Lieutenant Dan come in to be his Cove shrimp boat captain, he's so excited he dives off the boat into the water as the boat comes crashing into the dock, swimming to the Lieutenant Dan. And then, the love for wherever he is in the world, going on all these incredible adventures, he always comes back to the reframe. I thought about Jenny, and just the purity of that. When his buddy and from the Vietnam War gets killed, he promised that he would go down there and be a shrimp boat captain with him. And as insane as that was, when you look at it rationally, logically, he did it. So there's honor and integrity in that. So I'm gonna go and say there's a lot of things that we can learn from Forrest Gump. And sometimes simplicity, the answers, the things that are make us happiest, lie in simplicity. Through simplicity, I think we can find purity and authenticity. It allows us to clear some of the garbage off our mental plate.
Absolutely. Um, I think my call to action, my Happy 88 challenge to bring more love, uh, can we find it back? Our ability to agree to disagree. Because I think
Yes.
that if we can do that, there will be more love in our country, that we have lost that ability for the most part. And as a result of losing that, there's less love. So if we can, what came to mind was that human library. I think it's in Sweden or Norway. There's a human library that you go and you meet with whoever's sitting there, who will give you the definition of their experience in life in this race. If they're a different race or different gender or different whatever it is. And that way, be able to learn something about someone that you didn't know about, that will lessen your ability to hate them, that country, that religion, that whatever it is that's different. So I think that if we could do that, folks, for this year, we could at least stem the flow of this divisiveness that seems to be just getting worse and worse and worse. And that's one of the reasons why we don't talk about headlines here. We don't talk about religion or politics, is because those are so divisive. And I want everyone to sort of, can we focus on something we all want? And we all want more love. I'm sorry, even if you're atheist, or, even if you're, you think life sucks, deep down, that dis-ease that you're feeling is because you want more love.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And what was I going to say about that? Now I feel like Forrest Gump. That's all I have to say about that.
Run, Forrest, run.
Yeah.
Oh, and that little aside, all that long distance running that your parents took you to, I had the thought, you'd be a great competitor because you are competitive, and with all the training and conditioning you have you thought about the half marathons or marathons? Or
Oh yeah, no, I've run 19 marathons and I've done about a dozen triathlons. It's something that has always been a big part of who I was. But I got a little burnt out from them, and I have to kind of redefine it, rediscover my love for it, but in a different way, because I did it at such a high level and loved it for when I did it. But then it was like, okay, it feels like a new chapter now,
Oh, okay.
So I'm exploring different avenues of enjoying fitness and well-being. We have more, this is what I was going to say, we have more in common than we have different. Even if we have a difference of opinion, it's so helpful to remember that we're mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, parents, children, and we all want pretty much the same things for our lives. So what if we have different ideas about how to get there and how we do it? We have a tendency to hyperfixate on the thing that's different. But I think if we instead remind ourselves of all that we have in common, it becomes easier to give every human being the love and respect they deserve just because they're a human being. And I think that can help tremendously to your call to action that you just gave.
Yeah. Yeah. If all of us could be adamant in what we believe and say, this is my BS, this is my belief system, and I believe it strongly, and I will honor whatever it is that you believe as well. We only get in trouble when we think that everyone should have the same BS as we do. That's the only time. If I can allow you to have that, but where let people murder people, Holocaust again, and it's like, we don't know everything about why everything happens. And my faith in a friendly universe and well-being, Einstein says the most important question a human being has to answer is the universe friendly or not? So if I can find well-being, and I can, that's why we do the gratitude sandwich. There's good everywhere, not in the headlines, but there's good everywhere. So if I can say, I believe that, if you don't believe that, that's okay. But I know that because I believe that, I feel better. And I'm like Thor. I go like this and I say, I love this. And then more comes. So, but you that's what I believe because I talk about it. But here, you don't have to believe it, right? You can go somewhere else and listen. But when you come here, you're going to hear that.
Right.
So, one of the best things I ever decided was I am not going to give advice when people talk about their problems unless I'm being paid. Saves me a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And they make sure that the audience is receptive to receiving it. But I'll tell you something that almost everybody is receptive to hearing. If you love someone in your life, don't miss the chance to tell them when you're feeling it. And especially if you're feeling it, you can tell they're having a down day. You can completely maybe change their day and their life. And also it's a moment for intimate connection. And we all need that. So if you love someone, don't keep it to yourself. Let them know in whatever love language you have.
I love you, James.
I love you too, Dr. Marissa.
And with that, it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. James, take us out.
Now go and have the best weekend and week ever.
Whoop.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.